is a beautiful winter day. I cannot believe how amazing all the trees look. Look at all that greenery. You know what? I think this calls for a really good cup of tea. But I think I'm gonna make some tea with the trees right here in the woods. Come and join me. So now that we have our pine branches, let's make some tea. So we brought back you want at least enough to make a cup of tea, if not a couple cups. I'm gonna try to process just enough to make a cup maybe. So we can put this away. So what you want to do when you're making white pine tea is you want to only take the greenest, softest needles. You don't want anything that's turned orange or yellow. You want that really bright, fresh green. Once you pull off a handful, you can bruise them, break them, just somehow to release those volatile oils that have the vitamin C. So when you brew your tea, all those good nutrients come out in there. So you're also gonna want a colander. And when you're making your tea, you don't want to have any of the branch, none of the wood pieces, because that is going to be very, very bitter and very strong flavored. You don't really want that. And if you get about a quarter cup to a half a cup, that should be good enough to make one mugful of pine tea. All right, and then we're going to take this to the sink and we're going to rinse it off before we put it in our water. The thing with white pine is you want to make sure you bring your water to a boil before the needles are in there and then shut the water off. You're gonna let your needles infuse in that water for about 15 to 20 minutes. It will extract all that good vitamin C, those minerals. You don't wanna boil the needles in the pot. It will destroy all the vitamin C, which is the whole point of why we want this, is lots and lots of vitamin C. Now it's time to process the cedar. So we've got a few samples of cedars. These actually came from 2 different trees actually. So I'm gonna hold up a couple of branches so you can see, even though they're both cedars, you can see slight differences in their color variation. And one of them has cones on it. So when you wanna make cedar tea, you wanna go with the newest, lightest, and brightest green color, not the darker ones with the cones. It's gonna be much more bitter and it won't be palatable. So fresh light greens for your tea. So you're gonna want about 1/4 of a cup, a dry measurement of the cedar leaves for our brew, and about a cup of water. Now, the difference between the cedar and the pine is you're gonna want to actually boil this with the leaves in there. So we're gonna let this go for about 10 minutes. So now that our white pine has infused for 15 minutes, we're gonna strain it. And don't worry about if you don't have a fancy tea strainer, a coffee filter works, a paper towel, whatever you got to strain it. So I'm just gonna hold this over my little teapot. You can see this lovely color it infused. And now we can enjoy our vitamin C and stay healthy for the winter.